Hi, so it's June 17th, 2024 in Gainesville, Florida, and I'm out here at Little Flower Farm doing a hive inspection with some University of Florida beekeeping students. They've asked for a look inside the hive for a class project they're doing. I started out by taking the top cover off the hive, putting some smoke inside. And here we have Tabby and Delaney looking inside, where I'm showing them in my top box. I've got sugar water. There's a few bees in the top hive. I explained to them that sugar water is useful during the dearth. I explained to them that there's some propolis there on that top lid. You can see Molly in the background putting some smoke out. I'm explaining to the students about propolis and how it seals the hive. Then I use my hive tool to crack the top open and pull it off. You can see there are bees underneath, as you would expect. I carefully place that down so that I don't crush the bees. I pull off the feeder, put some smoke in that top box, and prepare to take it off. There I use the hive tool again to crack the propolis and separate the two boxes. I'm explaining to the students that there are not very many bees in that top box, but the ones that are there will stay there during the inspection. I'm careful to avoid hurting any of the bees, finding a place to set it down where the bees won't get hurt. And here the students are taking a few pictures. As I get into the main box, I provide a little bit more smoke and invite them to take a look inside. They're taking some pictures so that they can write a report for their class. These students found me through the Gainesville area beekeepers website. They had reached out looking for someone who had a licensed apiary that they could come out to watch an inspection for the class ENY 4573, Introduction to Beekeeping at the University of Florida. There I am again talking about the reason we're feeding the bees. Sarah's bringing some additional sugar water because that one was empty. And we've still got some smoke going in the background, but the bees are very calm and peaceful. The students are taking notes and pictures, asking questions. Here I am pulling the first frame off. It's an end frame, and it did not have many bees in it at all, as you can see here. These are plastic foundations, and the bees have been slow to build them, even though I'm feeding them. And I do believe those foundations have been coated. This hive has been on our property now for about 7 weeks. I picked it up as a nook from a seller in High Springs, Florida, and I was very satisfied with the 5 frames that I purchased, as you'll see in just a minute when I pull out one of the center frames. You can see the students are very interested. And I put some smoke out again because I see there are a lot of bees on these next few frames, this one and the next one. Here I am very carefully manipulating those frames because I really don't want to injure any bees. And look at all those bees. They're beautiful. That might be one of the best frames I've seen in a long time on my hives. And upon closer inspection, there's a good brood pattern on both sides. I'm explaining to the students that they're very peaceful bees. In fact, I've never been stung in a few years of beekeeping here at Little Flower Farm. There I am demonstrating the back side of the particular frame, looking for the queen, but I explained to the students that I'm more concerned about the brood than I am about the queen at this point. I'm pointing out larvae that I see and encouraging the students to get a close-up. I also spotted some eggs, and we talked about that, and capped brood was found all throughout this frame. This was the 3rd frame in. I left the 2nd frame and went right for the 3rd one. There I am answering a few questions. I explained to them how I'm very careful when I put this back, but first I asked the students to take a look because the next frame is really just as beautiful. Here I am showing Molly and Sarah the look of this brood as well. Very happy with that frame. There I am blowing gently on the hive so that the edges are free of bees so that when I put the frame back in, they won't be crushed. On most days, I would have been happy closing the hive up then, simply by seeing all that brood and activity in there. This video was made in the afternoon. There might have been some bees still out. It stays light late in the day. This would be the 4th frame from the side that we opened and looked at first. And again, I see a lot of brood on both sides. Healthy larvae, some eggs, a little bit of signs of honey around the edges, but not much. The students are definitely taking an interest. Once again, these bees are so peaceful. Such a good breed of bees that we have here. Very fortunate to have gotten this round of bees. We're continuing to look through the bees. Seeing if there's anything else to see on here. We don't spot the queen, but I did mention that I thought I might have seen a queen, but I couldn't be so sure. Here I am answering some additional questions, talking a little bit more about bees and beekeeping and the history of our little farm here in northeast Gainesville, Florida, how we're looking to expand in the coming years to increase our hives to 5 this year, 10 next year, 15, 20 the year after that, until we reach our capacity for our property, which is upward of 40 hives. That's a long-term goal for our farm, but one that seems like it might be obtainable. Here I am just explaining a little bit more about feeding and why it's important to feed the bees. And I explained that the bees, for the most part, stay on the frames when we do the inspection, and how it's very important for me to make sure that when I put a frame back in the hive, that I'm very, very careful so that I do not injure any bees. There they are, taking a few more pictures, and I'm demonstrating removing propolis from the top of the frame, and I'm explaining that I remove it even though it may be used as a ladder for some of the bees. I've seen others that remove it successfully, and so that's what I do, is clean the frames up before I put the other box back on, which I'll be doing in just a minute here. And here goes that one frame. Again, there's some bee activity, but they're not really building any comb that I could tell. They're just building it up a little bit, slowly but surely. I'd like to see faster progress there, so if there's anything you think would help, please comment down below. I'm constantly learning about beekeeping. And again, I explain how it's very important to be cautious while I work. Here I'm just trying to spray some smoke around there so that when I put the top cover on, I don't crush any bees. Here's a quick look inside the top box. I noticed that the bees have plenty of room, maybe more than they need right now, but when I purchased the Nook, I was advised that they might be interested in swarming and that I should expand the hive soon. Once again, if you have any comments about that, just put them down below. Here we are again talking about the season and nectar and pollen flow and dearth and feeding and the purpose of the second box for space. I mentioned that I'll be eventually adding another box, but those two boxes belong to the bees as far as I'm concerned. They can build and grow, and then I'll put a queen excluder on top of those two boxes and then put another box on top, and I'll harvest honey from there later in the season, or more likely next year when the bees are a little bit stronger. Here I'm just showing how the bees are persistent. Even though the feeder is empty, they still sit even after that 15 minutes during the inspection. They still sit inside that empty feeder holder. I explained to the students that I come out every day and check on them. I don't open them up every day. I open each hive once a week. And I do end up replacing the feeders, the water, 50-50 water sugar feeders, about once every 2 or 3 days this time of the year. While we did our inspection, I did not notice any hive beetles. I did not spot any mites. I did see a good degree of brood. It seems like the bees have enough space, if not too much space. And note that those are 8-frame boxes. The one I opened was an 8-frame box. There's a 10-frame box there to the left of it, the yellow one. And there's another 8-frame box on the other end. But I prefer 8-frame boxes for whatever reason. Here I'm demonstrating how the box gets closed back up. Of course, it was at least 90 degrees out today, so happy to be taking that suit off. I let the students know that I wear a suit as a precaution. I haven't had any bees that have stung me, but at times when I'm in the box, they'll fly at my head or kind of encourage me to bat at them or swing at them while I'm working. And when I wear the hood, it just increases my confidence quite a bit.